You hung in there pretty well, and then sort of delivered the goods when it counted.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game. I think two pretty evenly matched teams, and they outplayed us for periods, and then we responded for periods as well. So, I think it was a mature win. It was a really a win full of character because we were challenged for large parts of the game, but we found a way to hang in there and prevail in the end.
How concerned were you when you 4 goals down in that third term? Did you feel like, could you see signs that it was going to turn for you?
Yeah, we felt that, we wrestled momentum back at various stages, but to their credit, every time we pegged it back, they kicked the next goal. So, we coughed up a few easy chances. They capitalised on a few. But I think both teams could, you can split hairs over missing a few opportunities versus taking a few opportunities. It was a good even game, I think, reflected in all the numbers.
So what do you think actually was the turning point, and what changed for you guys?
We just got some ascendancy around the contest in the third quarter, and I thought our pressure went to another level. It was really pleasing that our guys, because we back our sports science team, and when you look at second halves of games across the last couple of years, we generally run those out very well, and we run seasons out pretty well. So we had confidence if we could just lift our pressure a notch and get some ascendancy around the contest that we could keep running at the end of the game. But I think both teams were pretty tired, as is often the case in round one.
How do you feel about your defence in terms of match-up against their talls? Do you think most sides will be stretched by the amount of tall forwards they have, or will you be stretched more than some, do you think?
No, we weren't stretched. Tarrant's job on Walker was terrific. McDonald's job on Lynch, who's a much underrated player, was terrific. Jenkins got off the leash a little bit, but we have a taller forward line than they do. So, Waite, Petrie, Brown. If Adelaide's forward line is going to stretch a few, then probably so will ours. But, Adelaide, I thought they defended pretty well. Wadey was enormous for us tonight in all ways, not just marking the ball and kicking goals. And Drew probably played one of the better 9-possession games I've seen in a long time. So he was just fantastic for us. And Brownie worked really hard and got his reward on the scoreboard as well. So, I think Walker, Lynch and Jenkins are a good combination when you put in an All-Australian in bets next to them, amongst others. They're always going to be a dangerous side.
How much luster did it add to the win that you, with the lesser rotations and the no sub, that you lose a player midway through the second quarter, yet you run it out so well?
It's a really interesting one to gauge. This is the first time it's happened, but it didn't really affect us because it just meant that we were down one in numbers, but it meant we could rotate others more frequently. So I think it's a pretty good example of why I think the players prefer the sub rule going. And if you've got 4 on the bench and you lose one, the limited rotations mean the opposition can't exploit that. So I thought it worked. It worked pretty well for both teams tonight.
What's the prognosis on Anderson?
We're going to scan him for sure. It's a really tough one because the medical staff wanted more time to try and get him right, but he definitely felt something high up in his hamstring. Now they think it's pretty minor, but I'm loath to speculate at this point until we get a scan and confirm it.
What do you make of Daniel Wells, particularly early? It must be really pleasing to have him doing some of that again.
Yeah, it's great to have him back. There's no doubt about that. But I keep preaching the fact that Wells is not going to be the difference, and as good as he was at various stages tonight, he wasn't the difference between winning and losing, and nor were any of our other players. So, but it is great to have him back, and we can probably count on one hand that the number of times a lot of our midfielders have played together. So it was good to have them all out there in combination again tonight.
Is Taylor Garner someone you just want to blood 20 games into this year, or given his injuries and what he's had over the last couple of years, is he someone that you just need to fast track and get as much time into?
Yeah, he would be. Probably track watchers at North would have said that he was the one who was one of the dominant players in pre-season with a lot of our game simulation, and the defenders hate playing on him. no one likes being tackled by him. So he's a player that we really rate, but we're cognizant of the fact that he hasn't played much. He's had a few injuries, so again, we're not asking him to come out and dominate, but he's a player we hold really high hopes for.
You talk about no one player making the difference, but what did you think of Todd Goldstein's last quarter when the game was on the line?
Yeah, that's what good players do, don't they? That's when good players elevate themselves from being good players to that elite bracket. And Jacobs is a good ruckman too. And I thought they fought out a pretty good battle, as they often do. But yeah, Goldie he dug deep when it really mattered, and that's the mark of a really good player. And I think 2 years ago, Goldie really set himself to become one of the genuinely elite ruckmen in the competition, and he's certainly up in the best few going round.
It's only round one.
Uncharted territory for you, round one win as a firm.
Yeah. I thought at one stage that it was worth 12 points and not 4, the importance that's placed on it. But I can tell you it feels better sitting here winning than losing. And I know what losing's like round one.
How meaningful is it? Seriously? Like, there was so much talk about it through the pre-season. It's something you haven't done. Season of such high expectations. What's it mean?
Oh, no, this is cliche, and I know that you're not going to believe me, but it just means 4 points, and it means that we're not chasing our tail as we have in previous seasons. So it's far better winning it than losing it. But I mean, at the end of the final series, we finished in the top 4 the last 2 years and haven't won round one. So this isn't going to give us any right to finish higher up on the ladder. Games at the end of the year are more important than they are at the start when it comes to September. But we weren't. You can say it's coincidence because 12 months in footy is a hell of a long time, but there's no doubt that we changed our preparation significantly this year because we couldn't keep doing the same thing and getting the same result early on. And I think our players were as well prepared as they've ever been for this stage of the season.
Thanks.
Thanks. Cheers.